Good afternoon, CFM. It's Coach Matt with the Flex Wednesday. Flex Wednesday, what's that for? Once again, there's reasons. Everything's structured this way. And it was just to get the sequence of exercises correct so that it wasn't like Flex Friday right before a really challenging arm centric benchmark, right? So that was one of the reasons why we did it this way this week. But hopefully you still enjoy it. And for those of you that have always skipped Flex Friday, well, now you get it on a Wednesday, so you're gonna get to experience what all the wonder and goodness is about. So let's begin with 3 minutes of your choice, warm-up pace cardio. And then we get 2 rounds through this little warm-up set. Start with some scorpion stretches. So arms out like a T, I'm rotating around, stretching out. This one always feels really good on my low back. And then we're gonna go into just a real quick 15 seconds of seal press. So stretch out the abs, loosen up your low back a little bit. And then child pose is kind of the opposite of that. Similar 15 seconds. Just relax and stretch for a second there. And then go to 8 reps of a ring row. So standing underneath where the rings are hanging from, extending arms straight, body is tight and straight like a plank, rowing up until my hands touch my rib cage. And then I want to do 4 slow push-up burpees, okay? So we are going to do the push-up within the burpee today. Start off standing, plant the hands, kick the feet out until I'm in this good push-up position, and then slow eccentric all the way to the ground, say 5 or 6 seconds. And then on the way up, you can do your regular burpee, okay? So just the eccentric push-up, slow on the burpee for today, okay? And after that, a light to medium kettlebell, and you can work this up in your warm-ups. We're gonna do the swing, pull, push, pull, punch. And once you get, say, 3 or 4 sequences of that on each hand, okay? So I'm gonna do my left hand. I'm gonna go just a single arm swing, single arm pull, push, single arm pull, punch, which is my kettlebell snatch, and then back to the swing, pull, push, pull, punch. And again, the goal on the kettlebell snatch is that gentle lay down on the backside of my forearm so that it is not smashing me. A loose grip is very important on this. So not so loose, obviously, that it flies out of your hand, but I don't want a death grip on this thing so that when it goes overhead, it kind of just sits there. I want it to be swinging freely in my hand so that I can gently lay it down on the back of my forearm when I do that, okay? All right, so Flex Friday, the format for this is going to be your effort is going to dictate the result from this workout. So if you're not going heavy enough, or if you're taking gigantic rest breaks in between the exercises, it is going to limit the effect of this compilation of exercises. But conversely, if you're rushing your way through, you're being sloppy on technique, or you're not locking out, not squeezing the muscle in the different finish positions, or controlling your tempo in the different middle positions, it's also not gonna have an effect, right? So in general, we try to make these as clean, as crisp, and as challenging as possible by using a full range of motion and not just trying to count reps, okay? So like 25 reps of the tricep extension. I care more that you get an excruciating muscle burn out of it than I do that you actually counted 25 reps, but you used the heaviest weight possible, even though you weren't using the full range of motion, right? So a lot of times these workouts are more effective when they feel more effective, and not just when you use the heaviest weight that you can possibly find or that you can make yourself do, okay? So think about using a weight that is maybe like 80% of what you possibly could do for that given exercise, but doing the movement as challenging as possible, okay? So here we go. We're gonna start with 65 to 70% of your 1 rep max push press, and we're gonna do a set of 10 reps, push press, dip, drive, press. All right, hit those push presses, and then I'm gonna walk, you can probably walk forward, but set the bar in the rack, and then we're gonna take our wide grip bench press. So that means my hands are almost out to the edges. You don't wanna get your hands caught underneath the bar in the J hook, but you should be like about 1 inch on the inside. And then with a spotter, as many reps as you can get of a wide grip bench press. And I don't want you to be able to put that bar back in the rack, right? So in other words, spotters, listen to me, spotters. If somebody tries to put the weight back in the rack themselves, I want you to push it back out and say, no, 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 not yet. Keep going until I have to pull it back in the rack, okay? So make sure the spotter has to be the one to pull it back in the rack. That is what we call actually going to failure, and not just kind of close to failure, all right? When you finish that, you can leave the bar in the rack, the next person can use it, they'll pull it out. You swap back and forth, make sure that you're spotting as much as you're getting spotted on these ones, okay? Next we're gonna do our kettlebell snatch. And you can also, if the kettlebell snatch is something that you're just super not comfortable with, you can always do a dumbbell snatch. It's basically the same movement, it just doesn't have the same complexity or the same skill component to it, but you're still getting the ground to overhead movement. So you're gonna get 10 reps of our kettlebell snatch. So that's from the hip to the overhead position, 10 reps on each arm. The weight is not super crazy for this. So 35-25 is the weight that I have prescribed. Try to do the weights that I have prescribed at a minimum. If you wanna go up from there, you totally may. Next one we're gonna do is a jumping pull-up for as many reps as you can get. The standard that we have for jumping pull-ups is either 6 inches over the top of your head or about halfway between your elbow and your wrist. Okay, so this bar is a little bit high for me, which means it'll be a little harder, but that's okay, right? If you're pretty strong at pull-ups, then feel free to go higher and make these a little bit harder. But you will similarly be stumped on jumping pull-ups the way that you would be stumped if it was just regular unassisted pull-ups. So don't worry that your arms are not going to get the effect of this. Just go until you can't go anymore, right? So the other thing on jumping pull-ups is I would like for your heels to be lined up with where the bar is, right? So that means I'm slightly forward of the bar, my toes are slightly forward of the bar, and that allows me just a good reset position so I can jump and land in exactly the same spot while my body is going vertical. If my feet are too far back, then as I jump, I'm gonna kind of swing underneath and then have to walk myself back every time, and that slows down my tempo. I'm gonna show you the tempo that I want you to use when we are doing a set for max reps is like this. So it's jump, jump, jump. About that fast until your arms just can't do it anymore. When your chin no longer clears the bar, the set is over. Don't stop, don't keep going after that, and count that. Shoot for something in the high teens, low 20s, right? That will be a good first score, and I expect that to change as we go through the sets. The last one is 25 reps of an overhead tricep extension. You can do these standing or seated, but it's similar grip to the dumbbell pullover, only now I am bending my knees, so I'm starting with the dumbbell touching the back of my head, elbows pointed forward, and I'm extending my arms up straight overhead. Okay, so at the top, the dumbbell is kind of just hanging right over the top of my head. Right, 25 reps, and then rest to recovery and do it all again. So we're doing 4 times through that big giant set or that big sequence. And your arms, your chest, your shoulders, everything should be pretty lit by the time you finish. Hope you guys enjoy that, and I'll see you for our next workout on Thursday.